joining me today. It's wonderful to have this opportunity. I'd like to start by acknowledging the traditional owners of this land and pay my respect to elders past, present and emerging, and any Aboriginal or Torres Strait Islander peoples here with us today. First of all, I'd just like to introduce myself. My name is Monica. I've been in the early childhood industry for about 17 and a half years. I started when I was 17 years old as a trainee and just slowly worked my way up to the top. I currently hold a Bachelor of Teaching, and yeah, that's about it. So we're doing a three-part series on observations, in particular what are observations, the types of observations, and writing your own observation. Hopefully by the end of the three-part series you'll have a grasp about observations, their purpose and how to use them in your service. Or you might be completely confused, and that's okay because we can ask lots of questions. Alright, we're just going to do a bit of an icebreaker game. So we're going to play a game. So we're going to go around the group. You're going to tell me 2 lies and 1 truth, and then we're going to guess which one is true. So I'll go first. I like the colour green. I dislike housework, and I drive a blue car. So now you have to guess which one is true.
Drive a blue car?
Yes.
Good guess!
Yay! Okay, you can go first, Anne.
Okay. I love Taylor Swift. And I love the colour green. And let's see, I drive a white car.
You love Taylor Swift.
That's a lie. Oh.
You drive a white car.
Yes!
Okay, Phyllis, your turn.
I like dogs.
Mm-hmm.
I don't have a son. I got short hair. Which is true.
Don't have a son. Short. You don't have short hair.
Your hair's pretty long.
Your
I
hair's
see.
long.
What was the other one you said?
Ice cream.
You like ice cream.
I reckon that's a lie.
I reckon it's true.
It's
You like ice cream?
I love
Yeah.
ice cream.
Well done.
Well done.
Alyssa.
Alright.
It's okay.
Bit shy.
Sorry.
Deep breath.
Do you want to come back?
Yeah.
Okay, Sim, you go next.
I got a new car last year. I don't like rabbits. And I have 2 boys.
But you don't like rabbits?
You have 2 boys?
No, that's incorrect.
You got a car last year.
Yay!
Oh yeah!
Go girl!
Good job.
Okay, go Alyssa.
I like driving.
Mm-hmm.
My favourite colour is blue,
Mm-hmm.
and I really enjoy playing with sand.
So which one do you think is a lie, Phyllis?
You enjoy playing sand?
I do not like playing with sand. You're right.
Yay!
Okay, well done. Okay. Alright, okay, so by the end of this session you will have an understanding about what role does observations have in the early childhood industry. Are there any legal requirements or frameworks related to observations? How to identify well-written observations. This will be your first step to being able to write your own observation. In our next session, we will be discussing the different types of observations. Does anyone have any questions?
No, thank you.
Okay, does anybody want to have any thoughts about what an observation is?
Writing about children.
Well done, writing about children. Well, Alyssa,
You watch a child and then you write about the child.
great.
What's the purpose of the observations?
We're going to get to that.
Exercise.
Em.
Oh,
we will
thank
get to
you.
that. Thank you. That's a very good question.
Good job.
Okay. Oh, we already did that. Oh, we did. Whoops. All right. Observations alone is not enough. We have to understand the significance of what we see, hear, and touch. These are the words of John Dewey, a philosopher, academic, and educator from the last 18th century to the 20th century, and provide a foundation of what observation looks like and means in the early education and care setting. The quote provides a good beginning point and tells us that there are no right ways, but many ways to approach observations. We have to understand the significance of what we see, hear, and touch. Okay. Okay, so in pairs, we're going to come up with 2 reasons why you think we write observations. I'll give you about 2 minutes to talk about this in your pairs, and then one of you will share.
What would you like to start with first?
For daily reports, so we can keep a record of what the kids are doing and done for the day,
See how
and can liaise with parents.
Developing.
So understanding milestones and like.
it's our job.
Right.
There's development. What did you say, sorry? I misunderstood.
You're observing to keep records of what they've done for the day, their can and can't do's, where they struggle and where they do well at, and then their milestones.
Then the milestones. What about the milestones?
You can do it.
Okay, we ready?
Yeah.
All right, who wants to go first?
One of the reasons is we record how the children learning and they record their learning development. Second thing is we have to report to the parents about how their learning progress.
Excellent, well done. Next
You
group.
can share.
Oh, you're right, you can do this one.
Are you
Are you okay?
You okay?
Do you need to have a glass of water? That's okay.
Oh, sorry, what was your name again?
Simone.
Sorry, Simone. Did you want to do the talk?
Yeah.
That'd be
I-
great.
I think the observations is to keep records of what the children are achieving well at, and where work needs to be monitored more, and also, as Phyllis said over here, to liaise with parents and keep the progress reports going of the children.
Yeah, definitely. All those answers are correct. And observations in early childhood are a means of documenting children's learning and progress. Observations can take place every day throughout the whole routine when children interact with each other, with activities, with adults, and during spontaneous events. Observations are critical for early childhood. They build an understanding of the child's skills, interests, abilities, and focus on what they can do. Before we observe children, there needs to be a main purpose for this. Like Phyllis said, some of the main purposes of observations can be to plan for the curriculum, for the child to achieve a particular goal, to inform the families of the child's learning, and to gather data on particular skills such as, kicking a ball or learning to write, or self-help skills and like learning to build with Lego, and also to record behaviours. Whether those behaviours are positive or negative, we still also need to record all of those. Okay, now we're going to watch this video, and you're all going to tell me one thing that you learned from this video. Let's see if this will work.
Observations are one of the many ways educators identify children's strengths and needs. Through observations, you can see what children are coping with, enjoying, finding easy, and where they might need more support. Taking time to observe children doing everyday things can help us understand the meaning behind their behaviour. Observing children can also help you understand what is part of everyday child development and what might be a mental health difficulty.
Early childhood educators make many observations of children over the course of the time that they work with them. It's important that in those observations that they make about children that they, from time to time, over the course of the work, look particularly at the way children are travelling in terms of their social and emotional wellbeing, with a focus, if you like, on mental health. And what we're looking for in that sense is meaningful observations about opportunities where children are changing and growing, learning more about themselves and others, that we record. And then when we record that information, then we can make decisions about what we will do as educators to support their further learning.
Observations are great for helping us understand the child and their various behaviours, because it's basically when you just take time to sit and watch and note things that the child's doing just as it's happening, and then you can go back and think more about what's actually happening in that time frame, and that allows us to get so much knowledge about that child.
Early childhood educators and those providing care are often with kids for many hours in a day. So they're in a very unique position to know a lot and to know a lot in depth, about young kids. And they've got the opportunity to experience what these kids are like, both from a kind of emotional point of view, a behavioural perspective. And they end up usually knowing a lot about their relationships. Once they've known them for a while, they become very familiar with the way these kids relate, not only to themselves and how they might relate to other adults in the team, early childhood care providers or educators, but also how they relate to other kids and what their relationships are like with their peers. It's a pretty rich source of information.
There's different kinds of observation to observe children's behaviour or to understand children's behaviour. I think observation that gives you a series of checklists and problems just makes everything feel heavier and takes your energy away about where you can go with this child. I think observations that document relationship are very valuable, in the sense that what I mean by that is that you look at how the child uses you as a resource. How free are they to come in and ask for help from you when they need help? Observations that help you to be able to see all the things that a child can do are very useful, because then you get the level that's the right starting level for a child. That's critical, because often I think when children have difficulties, we immediately think we have so much to teach them and they have so much to learn. And often what gets overlooked is the level to start at. So documentation, which helps you to see what a child can do, then you know where to start, and it also brings you in good connection with the child.
So when we are collating documentation for the children, we obviously do it across all areas, but in particular with those children that we are finding having concerns, whether it be socially or emotionally, we document that in the same respects, I guess. We use snippets, so anecdotal evidence, but then support it with our reflections and why we've come to that. We also, if we have had a conversation with parents, we also document that in the same book. So it's a running record basically of that child and who they are at the service.
If we look at how children communicate in the very early years, they'll communicate generally through their behaviour and through their actions. So they, for example, the one thing that is going to be obvious if something's not going right for a child is you'll see a change. And that's when you have to be thinking, okay, what's going on? What's behind the change? It's too easy to look at a behaviour and say the behaviour's wrong. For example, if a child starts acting out in an aggressive way, then you can blame the child for being naughty. But you have to look at what's driving that change in behaviour. And if it's unusual for that child to behave in that way, then there's definitely something that's driving that change in behaviour. And that's when you have to look at what else is going on in a child's life, what could be causing these sorts of things.
When you think about relationships, you think about children having relationship needs, and so their behaviour is how they communicate those needs, and then you can have different ways of thinking about those needs. But the most important thing is, to me, that if you think about a child's relationship need, it's genuine, it's not a greedy or selfish need, it's an authentic need. There's a quote that I love about that all behaviour are feelings that are meant to be heard. So I think that behaviour really does tell you about how children are feeling about themselves on the inside, what they expect of themselves and what they expect from the grown-ups in their life.
An early childhood educator who has some concerns about a child's mental health needs to act. They need to think about what they're going to do in response to that. I think sometimes an educator might need to consider in the first place whether this is something of deep concern or whether this is something that's normal for a child. In the first instance, for educators, they need to collect more data. So the more they collect more information, do some more observation of the way that children are experiencing the program, to alert them to when those things might be occurring, how they're occurring, whether they're occurring at particular points in the program, to get more information that helps us build a bit of a picture about what we mean. Because with that information, then we're able to either talk to our colleagues about particular strategies. We might talk to a more experienced educator who has some ideas about this. We might speak to a family in relation to what we've noticed about this and to raise those concerns in sensitive ways. We also might, at that point, actually source some other professionals who can assist us with the thinking. Because it's really important for educators to realise that they're not experts in everything. It's something that at times we need particular expertise to deal with something particularly. And we also know that the earlier we get onto some of those things, particularly, say, for example, an anxiety, deep anxiety that children are experiencing, the sooner we can address some of those things and give the children strategies early on, we won't actually find that being a lasting issue for the rest of their lives.
Okay, so from the video we can see that observations is a fundamental tool used for teaching in their early childhood because it supports the awareness of the child's skills, interests, strengths and play. What else can you tell me that you learned from the video? Who would like to go first? Senna.
I think educators need to always know that there's other people there as a support team to reach out and ask for help, and don't think it's all on you, because that can bring you unstuck as an educator, which will then carry on and pass through children in the room.
That's correct. Alyssa?
From the video, I got that observations can be used to bring up and raise awareness of the children's behaviour, and then you can seek support from others.
Well done. That's right. Phyllis?
To record their expectation of learnings, if they go higher, and we can add more challenging setting for them. If they need, then we can plan something that they need.
Yeah, perfect. And?
I think probably that observation should be meaningful too, maybe?
Definitely, yeah, I agree, definitely. So there are also some legal requirements when writing observations. So in the early childhood industry, we have the national regulations and the national law. These two govern what we do every single day. And then we have the NQF and the ELF. And the NQS and the ELF help us plan what types of observations that we are going to write for children. All these frameworks work together to ensure all children get quality care in Australia, regardless of their culture, abilities or social economic status. So, what does all of these things mean? So the national regulation states that contribute to the following outcomes for children. So the child will have a strong sense of identity, the child will be connected with and contribute to his or her own world, the child will have a strong sense of well-being, the child will be a confident, involved learner, and the child will be an effective communicator. And all these outcomes come from the early years learning framework as well. And the regulations state that providers, regardless of the age of the children, they all need to have quality care and all have the same type of, like everybody has to put the same type of care and input into every single child regardless of what they might think. Okay, and this is the National Quality Standards, and they have outcome 1.1 all the way to 1.33, and you don't need to learn all of this sort by heart, but slowly you will become very familiar with this. It just helps us to make curriculum decisions that contribute to each child's learning and development. Alright, so these frameworks govern our daily practice, including observing children. So the National Quality Standards was developed to raise quality and drive continuous improvement and consistency in children's education and care. It promotes the safety, health and well-being of all children. It also includes 7 quality standards, which include educational program. And in the ELF, which is right here, and they've recently made a new one. They have also, I'll just pass that around. They have 3 underpinning values, being, belonging and becoming. And they have principles, practices that educators are to enforce every day. Okay, now we're going to come to Anne's question from before. Why is it important to observe children? So we're going to watch a bit of a video again about why it's so important.
Time and attention that can easily lead to trying to do things in a hurry. Early childhood professionals juggle lots of things at once, placing a big demand on their time and attention that can easily lead to trying to do things in a hurry or taking shortcuts. As Magda Gerber wrote, the more we do, the busier we are, the less we really pay attention. Intentional observation helps us make informed decisions that will meet the needs of the children and keep them engaged and learning throughout the day. Although situations will come up that need your immediate hands-on attention, observing is as valuable as anything else you do during the day. Observation can help us better understand each child as an individual, learning their likes, dislikes, habits, social interactions, and more, and track their developmental growth and challenges. With this knowledge, we can then create an environment, schedule, and activities that will foster their success. This also means we can more effectively individualize their learning by creating emergent curriculum and meaningful activities based on their interests. Observation and the information it provides also helps us bridge learning between our program and their home. All of this leads to increased engagement and positive interactions with the children, as well as the building of their positive self-concept and self-esteem. Ultimately, observation helps us build relationships, which is at the heart of a great program. What is observing? Observation is intentional watching in order to learn without passing judgment on what we observe. Observing means not only seeing what the children do, but also figuring out what they are learning in the process and how we adults can best support them. Observations spring from a place of curiosity and genuine interest in learning from what is observed. Perform both formal observations with scheduled time periods and informal observation of unplanned moments. Importantly, be as objective as possible in your observations. Observations can be done on both individual children and on the dynamics of the group, which will be naturally intertwined much of the time. Observe the environment the children are in and its effects on them. Observe the interactions between children and the interactions children have with adults. Observation by observation, bit by bit, a picture of each child unfolds and continues to blossom throughout the year, giving you the opportunity to maximize their experience in and through your program.
Alright, so now that we know that observations are very important in their childhood, and it's very vital that we observe children to set goals, plan for their group and individual learning, to see any gaps in the learning, to make the learning from home and centre connect, to track their learning progress, and most importantly to support awareness of the child's skills, interests and play. Alright, now I have some written observations here, some samples. So in your pairs, you're going to read, there's 1, 2, 3, there's 4 types of observations. In your pairs, you're going to read over them and tell me which ones you think are good, bad and why. So we'll have a few minutes to read over those. Thank you.
Are they the same observations of the two groups? The two groups are reading the same observations, or?
Yeah, like in your pairs, read the 4, just
Oh, so these are 4 different.
Yeah. Yeah, so in your pairs, just
Yeah.
yeah. Alright, who would like to tell me which of those 4 observations were good and which ones were bad and why?
So I would say, I think this one was a good observation. It's quite positive.
Yep.
Sort of short to the point. Yeah.
Perfect. And Phyllis, which ones do you think were not so good?
I think this one, because it doesn't have any analysis of learning.
Correct.
It doesn't explain to you what the child actually learned and what's the next step they're going to progress to extend their learning or interest.
Well done.
I think the sensory tab one is really good.
Yep.
We got photos in there. It's just really good and it's just really thorough with information.
Well done. Simone?
I think this one, I don't believe there's enough information in there for it to be an observation.
Yep.
There's not enough detail. This one's extremely informative. Sorry. There's plenty of information and it's a progression of information from start to finish of doing activities.
Yeah, well done, you all got that right. So the one that Simone said had not enough information was this one. And as you can see, there are some spelling mistakes also at the top. And like Phyllis mentioned, there's not enough information in this one at all. You have no idea what the child is doing. And in this one, it's very thorough and you can actually understand what has actually happened without you having to see it yourself. Well done. All right. And all right, so that's it's the end of the slide. So that's the end of session 1. So thank you all for joining me. And next session we'll be learning about the different types of observations. Well done. Thanks everyone.
Thanks, Monica.